Welcome, everybody, to the sixth episode of We All Speak in Poems, if you can believe that or not. Today, I'm very excited to sit down with Sean Seymour, who is half of Lullatone. How are you?
Hey, what's up? I'm doing great. How are you?
Yeah, I'm pretty great. I've been really excited about this podcast ever since I even got the idea and actually started reaching out to people because, like, not only your sample packs, but your music and everything is such it's just inspiring to listen to. It's really nice hearing people that have happy music in not such a cliche or lame way, you know what I mean? Like it's so refreshing to hear. But right away I just want to actually go back to the start of you and your career.
Okay.
So I know the first Lullatone album came out in 2004, right?
Maybe. I think it was a long time ago, but that sounds right, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I think on Spotify it says that at least.
Okay, yeah.
Um, I want to know, what were you doing kind of leading up to that? What were you doing before that? Were you still doing music or were you exploring other things?
So before then, I was just like, let's see, 2004. I was still in university then. So before that, like leading up to it in high school, I was just in lots of bands and stuff with my friends. And
Mhm.
I grew up in a city called Louisville, which is in Kentucky in the
Oh,
US.
wow.
And it's a small town, but there are a lot of bands there. I don't know, like if I don't know if so many are popular right now, but like in the 90s there was like Slint and Rodan and lots of like post rock bands that like really set a vibe for the whole city. So there are lots of like cool events going on and like nice places to play and things like that. So I was like pretty deep into that kind of scene for a while. And then uh around when I graduated high school, I got like a present, like money present, like from family. Everyone gives like $20 or something. I put it all together and bought my first cassette 8 track. I bought a cassette 8 track, and then I was like, oh, okay, I can start recording on my own. Like I don't have to be in a band that much. I can try kind of more weird sounds that it's when you're working with a big group of people. Sometimes it's hard to adventure out, right? Like
Mhm.
people want to keep things going in a certain direction. And I always liked trying to do like lots of what ifs, like what if we tried this or what if we try that, which is hard if you have like four teenage boys in a garage.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
so I spent like that whole summer just like I don't know, every night, like staying up all night recording lots of like weird sounds with uh, Casio keyboards I bought in the thrift store for like $1 or something. So
Wow.
that really like led to what I ended up doing 20 something years later right now, I think. And then from there, I started doing stuff with art galleries around Louisville, like
Oh,
photography and things like that. And I ended up like soundtracking a lot of the events. So there would be these kind of like art openings. They don't have them here in Japan, but they might have them. You're in Canada, right?
yeah, I'm in Toronto.
Okay, yeah, Toronto's probably got the same kind of thing. Like once a month, all the galleries have like their big opening weekend, and you can walk from gallery to gallery and see like the new show that's going on. Did they have something like that?
Maybe. I'm honestly not sure.
Oh
I
yeah,
wish I knew.
I don't know about right now with like Corona and stuff, but at the
Mhm.
time they had that. So I started playing lots of concerts and like art galleries, which was like a good chance to make something that's just quiet that falls in the background. Like you don't have to be looked at. Like
Yeah.
people are looking at the art, so like you're just kind of soundtracking it. And that,
Yeah, you're standing in the corner.
yeah, exactly. It was like uh, mixer and some cassettes and Casios and things like that. Like so. What's the same as right now, actually, but. Um, but from there, like I kind of got into this making this kind of song, like this kind of melody and things like that.
Wow, yeah, that's super cool. I was gonna ask too, like, what type of music you grew up on, and like you said, there was a big sort of post rock kind of scene where you grew up. So,
Yeah,
were you into that type of music, or were you just kind of thrown into it because that's what was around?
yeah. So like growing up in Louisville, there were lots of like hardcore bands and
Hmm.
then post-hardcore bands, post-rock band, lots of posts, I think.
Oh,
So
wow.
from there, like I went through like the same trajectory. I think a lot of people are like when you're like 13 or something. You hear like hardcore and like, oh, this really fits with my angst. And then like you get a little bit older and like, I want to make noodly sounds on a guitar, you know. So I was into everything for a while. The bands I was in were more hardcore. What would you call it? Like noisy around. Like we played shows with like Melt Banana. Do you know Melt Banana?
I'm not
They're like
sure,
a
no.
Japanese, really crazy noise, super fast punk band. Like, uh, I was really into like that, and I really liked Fugazi.
Oh,
Do you
yeah.
know Fugazi? Yeah, Fugazi. Like, because they were like really experimenting with sounds. You know, they came from like hardcore, but then they made all these like new sounds. You know, like even though they're using guitars and basses, like I don't know, the way they scratched the strings through reverb sounded really special. How do they
Yeah.
do this? Like, really interested.
Yeah, for sure, like, I remember when I first started hearing, the experimentation of post-rock and all the post bands, like you're saying, I was probably around maybe 16 or 17,
Yeah.
and so I was late to the party. When I was 16 or 17, that was, what, like, 2014, 2013, maybe?
Oh yeah.
And so being able to go back and see all this stuff from, early 2000s, it opened my mind so much to what's already been done because you don't get to hear much of that, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
crazy. But, so you're half of Lullatone. The other half is your wife,
Yeah. Yoshimi.
Yoshimi?
Yeah. Yeah.
Very cool, yeah. Um, did you guys meet back in the US or did you guys meet in Japan?
Yeah. So when I was in the school in university there, she was an exchange student for a year. So it was a sophomore year. Uh, Wait, I'm trying to think. A long time ago. 2000, 2001, maybe? 2001, 2002. Wait, when did the album come out, did you say?
2004.
2004. So maybe 2001 or 2002, like a long time ago. And we started dating like immediately, like as soon as like we met, like second day almost. And so from that, we we started a band. She wasn't really into music or anything that much, but I was doing this kind of like art openings. I said there was a really cool warehouse where they would have this kind of like alternative art opening kind of shows. I don't know. They weren't really concerts. They were just events. Like there might
Yeah,
be a DJ, there might be a really crazy band or some kind of like performance art kind of thing going on. So we started this not so cool name, but band at the time called Music for Nintendo. It was before there was like lots of chipwave bands, but like the idea was to make really kind of like sounds that sounded like they could fit into a Nintendo at the time
oh, man.
because it just felt like was funny to do then, like to play at these kind of like serious art parties. And then all of the lyrics were she was the singer and all of the lyrics were in Japanese, but they're pretty much nonsense. Like because we're in Louisville, there was like zero. She was the only person that spoke Japanese in the whole city. I didn't know at the time even. I would just ask her afterwards, like, what does this song mean? And she was like, oh, it's just about brushing your teeth. And then another one was
Amazing.
my favorite one was like, "What's this?" And she said, "Oh, it's about a mathematician with a headache." So,
Wow.
like,
Honestly, you're saying these stuff,
uh,
like and even, music for Nintendo. Like, I feel like that could really work now, Like, that's the sort of name of bands and stuff and even mathematician with a headache.
yeah.
Like, it's sort of the stuff that's gaining popularity now, I feel like. Like, if
Oh, yeah?
that was continued on,
Yeah.
that would be
We
that
could have
would
been
be
huge.
a classic name.
We could have been
You guys are huge, honestly. Um, I'm always, like, surprised just at the amount of people that know you guys.
Oh, really? You gotta introduce me. I don't know any of them.
Even just from your sample packs and stuff, like, I feel like Lullatone in the scene, in the ambient scene, and, or maybe it's just my circle,
Yeah.
everybody knows it.
Oh, really?
Um,
Wow.
yeah, but we'll get onto the sample packs later 'cause I have so many questions about about that. But so, when did you end up moving to Japan? Was it, like, when you sort of graduated? Did you just move back with,
Yeah.
Yoshimi or
So, since our schools had the, like, exchange program, I could go to her school in Japan for a year afterwards. And
Oh,
yeah.
cool.
I had no, I wouldn't say interest, no knowledge about Japan until that point. Like, I've already been dating for a year, and she told me some stuff, but I was still in my own world, like thinking about I don't know, just things going on like everyday life. And then she had to move back and like, okay, I'll go with you. Like, so I worked it out through the school that I could transfer to her school for a year and study there. And then all the credits would count like towards the university in the US. So from there, like it was my first time. Actually, this is my first time going overseas, like when I moved to Japan.
Wow.
So like I just like went for it, like the whole other side of the world without thinking about it very much. And I didn't speak Japanese yet. I think I only knew arigato, like thanks. I don't know if I knew like konnichiwa, like hello or anything at the time. Like,
Wow.
but I studied for a year in the university and I like picked up a lot, like that's the best
Yeah.
way to do it. Like studying every day.
That's amazing, like, I feel like that's the best time to probably move to another country to stay is when you're young enough to sort of you're young enough so that you have time by the time you need to make money or whatever, you already are immersed in the culture and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Also, it's like you don't have as much there's a pressure of school and stuff, but there's not the pressure of like what are you gonna do with the rest of your life that much, when I
Yeah.
was I think it was like a couple of days after my 20th birthday, I moved, I think. Because I remember here you can buy beer from 20 and then like in the US it was 21. I was like, "Oh, this is great, like best of both worlds." I get a 1 year head start, like going to bars and stuff because by the time I got back I was 21, like, "Oh, this is great."
Oh, that's
So,
amazing. Yeah, and that's exactly what I mean is, like, you don't have that pressure of trying to figure it all out, and I feel like, in my case too, I started music early enough where I built my fundamentals um, before I even had to worry about making money from it or whatever, from
yeah.
like 16 to 19 or 20. And it sounds like you did too. And so did you just kind of never stop making music and then it just started to work or
Yeah, exactly. Like, I've always been, like, messing around, piddling with something at all times, and what actually happened was, like, after I moved here, so I moved to Osaka for school, which is, like,
okay.
right now I live in Nagoya. Nagoya is, so Japan has Tokyo is the biggest city, Osaka is the second, and then Nagoya might be the third. It depends on who you ask. Like some people say it's third, some people say it's fourth. It's around the
Okay.
third. It's one of the big ones. But
Yeah.
there's another city called Yokohama, which is next to Tokyo, which some people say is third, but like it's just part of like everyone who lives there is working in Tokyo, so it doesn't count. I think if you live here, the people say that. So, uh, so it was in the second biggest city then, and then I was coming from Louisville, which is like not a real big city. Like there's a scene, but it's not a big city. So
Hmm.
when I was making that kind of like, I guess it's close to ambient, like whatever kind of songs I was making, like with keyboards and stuff at the time. Um, I didn't know too many other people that were making the same, like something in the same kind of world. Like, uh, I'm sure there was some out there. I'm old, so like you couldn't really just find it on the internet. Like at that time,
Hmm.
there wasn't Spotify or YouTube or anything to find. You had to like really go to the record store, and it was kind of hard to find like if something's going to be good just by judging like the cover at the time. Like. But when I moved here, there was a real big scene for like exactly the kind of stuff I was making already. I think like
Yeah.
here it was called, it's a lame name, but it was called electronica, and like
Oh yeah.
the
Yeah.
idea
Yeah.
of electronica in Japan for me felt more like um, kind of analog and round and warm and nice stuff like that. So
Hmm.
and they had it on the listening stations. Like if you went to the record stores, like do you have Tower Records there?
No, but I think I know what you mean where they had the records like sort of lined up and then you could just throw headphones on and listen
Yeah.
to it.
So here it would be like there's a wall of the CDs and then they're just like already set up. You just press the one and it'll like play
Yeah.
automatically on the headphones and stuff. So and the Tower Records in Osaka, they had like all of these like really obscure like American bands and stuff like that I never heard like when I was in America. I had to come here to find like these other people and like, oh, this really fits like with what I'm doing. I want to be friends with these guys. So
Yeah.
like it was kind of a weird like circular thing, like going far away to find something like from where I was from, you know? So
Oh, that's so interesting.
that really like made me think like, oh, there's something here, kind of like I can keep going with this a little bit.
I feel like that's even sort of, I don't wanna say stigma because I don't know if it's the right word, but sort of how a lot of people see Japan and their sort of music scene now is they're just really in touch with all, like, the experimental, maybe experimental, um, sort of just out there music, like, it's almost pushed, to explore music more than it is maybe here in
Yeah.
America. At least, I mean, I'm sure now with the internet, you can find anything, but
Yeah.
I feel like it's just more, commonplace there.
Do you know the thing like the Genie divide? Like there's like um Canada's another one. Canada's kind of like here, I think like where people are pretty equal, like money wise. But like if you go to some place like America, like there's a big gap between like super rich and super poor, right? There's a
Yeah.
kind of Genie divide in music listening here in Japan, where like most people don't know any music whatsoever. Like whatever is like BTS or like the most famous thing that comes on like a lot. Uh,
Yeah.
they just like, oh, I think I've heard that. Okay, I like that, like without really thinking about it. And then there's like a small percentage of people who are absolute maniacs and like know everything about it too. So there's like a
Yeah.
really crazy like divide. There's not so much in the middle, but like there's a record store here in Nagoya that I've been playing shows at a little bit lately. And I went there the other day, and like one of the records on display was my friend from elementary school, like just randomly. Like,
Wow.
how do you have this here? I don't think anybody in my hometown has this one. Actually, some people have it, but uh, like that's so crazy. Why do you have it? And then like another day, I saw a guy wearing the T-shirt from some other band from Louisville, like
Yeah.
from when I was in high school or something. Like, why do you own that T-shirt? Like, it's such a crazy divide between that and then like just the random like not knowing
Yeah,
anything.
for sure, and, when you go into a record store here, I may have not found the right record stores, but they're still selling just, the top 40 hits, they're not
Yeah.
pushing anything, and, from Japan, they're the only, sort of music stores or record stores that actually order my music and a lot of ambient,
Oh yeah.
like, they'll bulk buy it,
Yeah, yeah.
for the stores, like, you don't get that here or in America.
Yeah, for sure. I kind of thought CDs might not sell and stuff that much, but we still get like the order for like bulk CDs from them like
Yeah,
every
that's
couple
what I'm
months.
talking about, like, it's amazing, and actually, I feel like CDs now are selling better than vinyl almost,
Oh yeah.
at least for me, my records don't sell anymore, I don't know what's going on.
You made it, did you make them all on vinyl? All of your albums or
Almost now, yeah,
wow.
yeah, yeah, at least, like, the major ones that I really wanted to push,
Yeah.
I think there's, like, 6 or something now,
Wow.
um,
I'm gonna have to put in an order. I have to put in an order later. I gotta look.
that's something I never really looked in for you guys. Have you guys pressed a lot of records or mostly CD and cassette maybe?
Just mainly CDs, and then I've always had really bad luck with records. Like we only
Mhm.
had two. Let's see, just two so far. A 7 inch. Well, the very first thing we released was a 7 inch, a
Yeah.
split 7 inch. It's so cool looking, like because it's clear.
Yeah.
But whoever was in charge of mastering this, like I think it was a place in like Prague or something, like was listening to our song on it, and then halfway through, like this is too quiet, and just like turned it up in the middle. So when you're listening to the record, it's like really quiet, and then all of a sudden, like halfway through, it gets really loud, and that's not
Oh,
how I
man.
made it. So
Amazing.
that was the very first record, and then it had like one 12 inch, so like one of the songs, like kind of a 12-inch single with like DJ remixes and stuff on the other side,
Mhm.
but probably the way I made that song, like the hi hat, I forgot what I used to make it. It was just like a click, like like instead of like a real hi hat, it's just like a really harsh, like kind of sound.
Yeah.
And when it's coming through a record, it kind of sounds like it's skipping. So I have a box. So I don't, I never even tried to sell them. Like I don't know if I want everyone to hear this one that much.
Oh, man.
The
I
remix
mean,
side's good.
Yeah, for sure. Man, I wanna press more 7-inch and 10-inch though, because I've always only done 12-inch. I mean, I'm talking about all this, but the whole vinyl manufacturing industry is in chaos right now, right? Because of the virus.
Because, like, they can't get the stuff or they can't get the
Yeah,
things they need for
mm,
it, or
yeah, exactly. So wait times for manufacturing is like 10 to 12 months,
oh, yeah.
you know? I'm hearing stuff
Oh,
like people are wanting to put out records now, but it's not gonna be out till the middle of 2022 and stuff, and they put
that's
in the orders
crazy.
like 4 months
Yeah.
ago. It's nuts.
It's so crazy because I felt like we finally got away from having to wait for that. Like, like for a
Yeah,
while, like
right?
making like CDs or whatever, like, oh god, I don't have to wait like for them to press it. Like now, like you can just upload it as soon as you're done if you want. Like, oh, it's great. Like
Exactly.
it's just so immediate that suddenly people are like, no, I want to wait. I'm sure there's a good thing about it, the patience of it. But
Yeah. It used to drive me absolutely crazy. I hate waiting to put my music out after it's done.
do you like your songs 6 months later if you make something?
No, but I like it 4 years later.
Oh
You
yeah,
know
that's
what
a
I
good.
mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I won't listen to it for, I don't know, 2 years, and then I'll go back to it and I'll be like, "Oh my, how did I come up with that?" Like, that's pretty cool actually, you know?
Yeah.
Actually, me and my partner Chantel did that today with an older alias of mine before I was Alaskan Tapes, and, I was so surprised that I was able to even mix that well, you
Yeah,
know? Like, I thought in my mind, I was like, everything's so amateur back then, but, do you ever, like, go back and listen to your older stuff?
not on purpose that much, but,
Yeah.
I get not like I'm not just, like, sitting around. It would sound good right now, some Lullatone, but,
Yeah,
um, I get a lot of requests for, um, video stuff, like, "Oh, do you have anything that would fit this, like a song?" So I have to go through and, like, I wonder if this would work. Like, I listen to the songs quickly to see, like, if it would fit, like, with a video that someone's looking for a soundtrack for, like, pulling
for
stuff.
sure.
Yeah. So I hear snippets here and there.
Oh, amazing. You actually remind me a lot of, like Keith Kenneth in the way that you do your syncs. Um, like going on your website, it really reminded me of that, and I'm wondering how you did you just kinda stumble into that? Like, people all of a sudden just came up to you asking for that?
Yeah, yeah. Like,
For, like, syncs and licensing?
yeah, yeah. So, um, just like people wanted to use songs that were on the albums and stuff in the beginning, and oh, okay, this is great. Like,
Yeah.
so like, let me think about how it started. The best one was I would when I first moved back here after university. So like I moved one time for studying. I had to go back for a year to the US to graduate, and then as soon as I graduated, I moved here like with a visa to teach English, like in public schools. So there's like a program like they take newly graduated people, and you can teach English like this junior high and high school kids. I was doing that, and I didn't hate anything. Actually, I kind of liked it. Like it was fun. Like I don't know. I never wanted to be a teacher that much, but it's kind of fun being in the school, and like I liked playing basketball with all the kids like at lunchtime
For
and stuff,
sure.
like
For
all the
sure.
kind of like all that stuff was really fun. Uh and then like I secretly like got on the school computer one time and like checked my email, like it's something there was some tofu ad in Korea that wanted to use one of our songs. I'm like, oh yeah, this looks great. And I was like, God, this pays more than being a teacher all month. Like I don't have to do
Exactly.
anything, and it's so much more fun, like being making music than like being here. Like playing basketball is cool, but I don't want to discipline anybody or anything, Like I don't want to get mad at kids who don't do their homework. Like I don't care if you don't do it. So a couple of things like that added up. And then I had like a chance to give a talk about like doing that kind of music stuff. Oh no, actually, hold on. It was like half bit of a talk and then a concert at this festival in Paris called Off with a bunch of F's. Off Festival, which is for like um, animators, uh, graphic designers, and then like motion designers. Lots of motion designers do stuff.
Mhm.
So this would be like such a great. They were gonna pay for me, Yoshimi. Our son was 2 then. I think he was 2. And then we said like, "Oh, would love to go, but we have to have a babysitter." They're like, "Okay, we'll pay for a babysitter too, so we could get my wife's mom, Yoshimit's mom, to come too.
Amazing.
Like this is going great, but it would be like when there was a school, like when school would start back, and it was like just when I was going to renew the contract or not. Like, okay, this sets it. Like, I'm gonna quit the teaching job just for this ticket. Like, we weren't getting any other money, just the like paid trip to Paris.
Yeah.
Like this has got to be a sign. Like, if it didn't work out, I could do it again, probably, no problem, I think. So I quit, and then like I went to Paris and came back, and then we had a 2-year-old. So okay, I really have to focus now. So that kind of made me think like, I know like just making songs, like whenever ideas come to me, like really start working on, like treat it kind of like saying treating it like a job doesn't sound so poetic, but like take it seriously, like
Yeah,
really
absolutely.
make songs, like almost like the way people would do like a craft, like if you're really into like carving, or I don't know. Lots of authors seem like they go write every day, even if they don't have an idea. So to do like that instead of like typical band idea of like just kind of messing around, and then if an idea comes, go to the studio.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that because I mean, the way that you make me or the way that your music sounds and even the way that you produce your videos on YouTube and show it, like, you give off a very masterful way
Not
of
me,
making
me.
mu yeah, like, you know the OP1, fantastic, like, better than anybody I normally see.
Oh my god, I must be a great editor then, because I have no idea what I'm doing all the time. I love the OP1, and then like
Yeah.
I'll go through a period where I use it quite a bit, and I get kind of good at it again. But if I am away from it for like 2 weeks, I totally forget like all the good ways to do it. I'm always thinking like it's a waste in my hands. Like you could do so much more with this.
No, on from the outside, it looks like you know everything about it, and just the other synths that you use, it must be I don't know, maybe it's the video quality or something,
Oh
you
man,
know?
okay.
But even just your stuff is very clean, and I think that might be it too, and, um, at least a lot of it is very clean, and when there is sort of grit and dirtiness to your music, it sounds very intentional, is what
Yeah.
I'm trying to say,
Yeah,
and
but wait, that's actually something I wanted to ask you about, because when I hear your songs, like I think you're a master of having, what would be the word for saying it? The incidental noises in an instrument, like the sound of a bow on a string is like
Mm.
so clear and beautiful that it makes it feel like it's really right there in front of you. I think you're really great at that. Like I want you to teach me how to do it. Like, uh,
The the secret is to forget everything you know about mic placement and
yeah.
mixing and just just go for it.
Do you worry about mic placement and stuff, or
I
do you just throw it?
do on, like, the piano, I really do,
Mhm.
but on instruments I don't know how to play. I don't
Yeah,
mind so much because then like you're saying, you get the grit on the bow and you get
yeah,
random noises and stuff, and it's something that I don't come across every day, so I'm like, I want that in there because it's so unique to me.
yeah.
But yeah, that's just the way I do it. I think I don't have the knowledge for it.
I never think about I know I should, but I never really think about where to put the mic, like, the best way. Like, like, I just like,
Yeah.
"Oh, here it is. Okay," and then, like, kinda move the guitar a little bit forward or backward, like, but I don't
Oh,
know, there's,
absolutely.
like, a sweet spot or something, right?
They're supposed to be.
Yeah, yeah.
This is the thing when you hear a lot of people talk, it's almost like they're making stuff up
I
sometimes.
think so too, yeah. Everything, like, there's no way you really know that. Like, yeah, yeah.
Exactly, like, the exact measurement between each microphone, and they're the exact same height, and phase is perfect. It's like, I know people are, very particular about especially with phase, when you're using 2 mics, but personally, I don't even worry about it because 'cause I've never noticed anything wrong.
I don't use 2 mics too often, but I have a feeling like a little bit of phase might be kinda cool, like, phase problems. Like, that might
Mhm.
be what makes it sound special. Oh, man, do you wanna
Yeah,
see, can I show you one thing I do know about, like, recording guitar? I don't This is gonna be,
absolutely.
so I was thinking about it would be funny to have a series of things called, like, what was I gonna call it? Inelegant but effective solutions. So like I have a lot of these like really inelegant but effective ways of like doing things. So this guitar has a this kind of like out, right? But it has a really bad hum that comes through no matter what. Like I tried to get it fixed and no one could do it. And then I like tried to resolder it myself and it just made it worse. But I found this copper tape. There's like this really ugly copper tape around. And I did this test where I like connected the copper tape to the metal part of the output and then made it run all the way up the back of the neck. So as long as my thumb is on here at some point, I never get the hum of the guitar. And then like I can just record straight out of here. It sounds better with a microphone sometimes, but like if you're in a hurry and you got to record something quick, like just plugging it in
Yeah.
is so great. This is my second best. What was it? Inelegant but effective solution. But do you want to see the best one?
Absolutely, yeah.
God, I wish this was on a video right now. Okay, so last month or maybe 2 months ago, I had a concert, and like just before then, I accidentally tripped on the cable. I like hit the cable that was plugged into it and knocked this guy down on the ground. And the part
Okay.
where you put in the battery fell out right here, and it broke off part of it. Like so now I couldn't use the preamp if I can't stick the battery in. And like, oh god, the concert's in a couple hours. What am I gonna do? I'll try taping it and nothing worked. But I figured out if I cut off the end of an eraser, like I made a small sliver of an eraser and just jammed it in there as hard as I could. Now I, now I have this stuck. So this is my favorite guitar, but it's like half copper tape and half like jammed in erasers and stuff right now.
Oh my. Are you able to explain why the copper tape stops the hum? Because I have no clue.
Yeah, yeah. I think this might be wrong, so I'm not an expert, but like it's a grounding issue. So like lots of things like have a problem with grounding, and I don't totally know what grounding is, but it's when you have what are the plugs in Canada like? Are they the same as the US? Like
Yeah, with, like, 3 prong?
yeah, yeah, okay. So the if you have the three one, the one on the bottom is the ground, and
Yeah.
that goes to somewhere outside of your building into the dirt. Actually, like that's
Mhm.
like what kills the hum on lots of stuff, and lots of places here. Like I'm renting this apartment for the studio here. Doesn't have a real. They only have a grounding for air conditioner and the refrigerator. So like it's kind of hard. I don't know, like people don't use the ground stuff here that much. Maybe I don't know the reason why,
Yeah.
but so there's that kind of problem. But if you use this, your body becomes a ground. Like your body has a
Oh,
elect something about the electricity in your body like counts,
yeah.
and then it sends that extra grounding through your body instead of like through the audio cable.
Yeah, what you're saying is, you know, bringing up very short little snippets of, like, grade 8 science class, and I'm, like, pretty much understanding what you're saying.
Because I have to dumb it down enough that I can understand it. Really, like, if I had to try to figure it out by watching the YouTube videos, and then there's, like, a this big spectrum of, like, nerds who go too in depth and then, like, people who are wrong, you know? So, like, the goal is to be somewhere in the middle, like
Absolutely, yeah. Oh, man, that's amazing. I mean, I would have never if I had a hum in any of my instruments, I would have just been like, "Well, that's it. That's the
that's
end
it.
of that
Yeah.
one," or tried to work through it, maybe EQ out the hum and then make it sound horrible and thin. But,
Yeah, yeah. But, oh, wait, what were we talking about? Oh, that incidental noises. I like the like, wherever you're putting the mics, keep them there, like, that sounds really great. Like, I love, like when I hear your songs, it feels like you're in the room, like, they don't feel overly compressed or, like, I don't know.
no, I don't know how to use compression, so nothing's
Yeah.
compressed,
Oh,
you know?
great. Yeah.
Like, I went to school for music production,
Oh, really?
um, but the problem is that I thought I knew everything. So I didn't learn anything back then, you know, and I regret it all the time because I seriously open up a compressor, and I don't know what I'm looking at. I
That's
just
good though, like, it could be good. Like,
yeah,
you can, like, use it in the wrong way, though, which makes it kinda interesting.
exactly, and I use the whole, ignorance is bliss kinda thing when it comes to a lot of music production because I don't know what I'm doing wrong, and if I can make things sound right, it doesn't really matter if I'm doing it wrong.
Yeah.
So
I always feel like if you get an instrument or something, like, the first day, first 2 days with it sound the best when you don't know what's going on at all, and, like, you're really
mm,
surprised by everything that happens. And then,
exactly.
a couple years go by, and then if you happened to get really good at something, I bet it's great again. I haven't got really great at anything. Yes, but if one day if I get like really good at something, like I'll probably feel really nice about like being a master at it. Like
I mean, it's surprising for you to say because, like I said, your music is so clean, and I think everybody aspires to get sort of your sound because it just sounds like it's just so professional. I get yeah, professional is the right word.
this is a just great to hear from somebody else. Like because I only hear it when I'm making it, so I hear like the first worst version of it and things like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know, when you hear the next album I'm working on, you might you might have changed your mind because I'm trying to record it doesn't using like just cassettes and stuff. So it's the total opposite.
That's the best, right? Like, getting all the, I don't know, just the noise of the cassettes and stuff, like, that's something I've gotten into over the past couple years, more and more, um, and honestly, now with your sample packs, I don't even have to throw anything through the cassette, like,
Yeah.
if I'm making a pad, just put the clarinet cassette sample
Yeah.
pack underneath it, and there's all the noise,
Oh, yeah?
and
Oh.
I do that all the time, like, it's on probably, like, over 10 tracks now of mine,
Oh,
at
really?
least.
One
Yeah,
day,
I use
tell me what are they the ones that are out? Or are they like
I yeah, most likely. Any of
oh,
my, like, main drone tracks
mhm.
or ambient, um, they're all over that, if it's underneath or if it's forefront.
Whoa,
Yeah,
that's
for
crazy.
sure.
It's so crazy to hear, like, something like that that you made, like, getting used in nice things, like, on the other side of the world even, like,
Yeah, true.
yeah,
I mean, I was talking to Chantel about it, and honestly, like, the fact that you put them out for Name Your Price
yeah,
is huge, and any music makers or producers listening to this right now, just go look up Lullatone sample packs because although they're not as, sort of customizable as, like, say, a Spitfire or
yeah.
whatever, they're just as important to me. Like, I open up your sample packs more than I'll open up any
Really?
Spitfire.
Wow,
Yeah,
thanks. Yeah.
you know?
I try to make it customizable in a way, like, I don't know how to add all the knobs to it. Like, if you buy, like, a really slick, like, professional one, there's a way you can add all the knobs, like, so it's easy just to move it around. But I
Mhm.
think I have it so if you press, like, the button that looks like a wrench on the side,
Yeah. Yeah.
the you can do a all inside a contact if you want to, like, to change a filter or something. So I think if
Yeah,
you
I've heard
buy, like, some other ones, they don't let you do that. Like, they don't let you go to, like I don't know what the wrench button's called, but they don't let you hit the wrench and then, like, really toy with the sounds and stuff. But my idea was, like, uh, you can really dig into just I don't know how to make the knobs, so
yeah.
do whatever you want.
I mean, even just, like, the different sort of sounds that come with your sample pack. So, like, in the cassette clarinet one, you have 5 different sounds, and you can open up all of them and then mix them all together to get
Oh,
to
yeah.
get really cool like you were saying, phasing issues and all this, and it actually sounds really, really cool. Like, I
Oh.
doubt anybody else will have the particular sounds that I'm dialing in, and I think that's so
Oh,
cool.
yeah.
Like, they're extremely useful and everything. And how did you even get into that? Were you just making your own sort of sample packs for yourself, and then you were like, "I might as well share them," or
Yeah, yeah. So, like, always like recording that kind of sound, like making samples and Um, the way I got started when we were talking about like Casio keyboards and stuff in the beginning was with the Casio SK1. Do you know? It's like a sampling keyboard.
Oh, yes,
It
yeah,
looks like so like you can
classic.
record like a short like 1 second. But I found like a couple of those in the thrift store for like $2 each or something. And like that's the way like I made songs for a long time. Like record a sound into there and then play it. Like
Mhm.
before I knew how to use the computer. And so maybe starting from there, I just like the sound of like recording a real life thing and then playing it by a keyboard a lot. So like a lot of our songs are like that, like real life recorded stuff, but then played in a way I can't get my fingers to do it, like
Yeah,
on
for
a
sure.
guitar or something. Uh, so I was doing that for a while, and I thought like, oh, it might be a fun thing to try to see if I can make these kind of sample packs, like to share with other people, just to see if there's an interest in it and I don't know if I can do it. Like I hadn't really made them in Contact. I mainly use Ableton for doing most stuff,
Oh, okay.
and so I would make up samples in Ableton a lot. But thought it'd be kind of interesting to learn how to use Contact like that.
Yeah.
And then it ended up a lot of people get them now. So
They're amazing, and then I only just recently got the OP1, and I think I reached out to you for it. I didn't know that you had them for the OP1 as well. Like, I
oh
still don't know
yeah,
how it works yet, but
you just drag it. You plug your OP1 into the computer, and then it
mhm.
looks like a hard drive, and then you drag it into. I got a synth folder. If I'm looking at it, I can remember. I think there's like
Yeah.
one of the folders in there is synth, and then you just drag it into there.
But that's amazing too. Like, it's so cool.
Have you sampled sounds into your OP1, like a real life thing into the OP1, and then
Yeah, so I had the organelle before the OP1,
oh yeah,
and
it rules.
that's essentially what I use the organelle for. Like, I don't know if you use Orac or anything, um, the whole user
Uh,
developed stuff.
I use the simple version,
Yeah.
like whatever the first kind of stuff was. But everyone says Orac's better. It looks like it's gonna take a while to figure out, so I didn't get into it yet.
I mean, it essentially just turns your organelle into an OP1, right? So that you can
Oh yeah,
actually,
okay.
um, put effects onto your synth sounds without recording it first or whatever. Yeah, using a pedal. But, that's what I mainly use the organelle for is sampling, because you can essentially sample an infinite amount of time. And with the OP1, I think it's maybe a 15-second, um, total?
6 if it's a synth kind of sound, like a melodic thing,
Mhm.
I think it's 6, and then if it's like a drum, maybe it was 15. Like
Yeah, and
I might be wrong.
I really like recording. So, like, let's say I'll record the C and the G of the cassette clarinet, and then I'll open up like an old for Arnold sample pack, and I'll play a higher octave up on that, and then I'll stretch them out over like the separate notes individually over like maybe
Mhm.
2 3 minutes, so there's a lot of silence,
Oh yeah.
and then record the whole thing into the organelle, and then pitch all that down, and also play all the different keys so that it's like a huge pad, but it's
Oh yeah, yeah.
continuously looping without being too crowded because there's lots of space in between the notes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
I love that.
it's
Yeah.
just something I can't do on the OP1, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's the same concept as your video, the using TikTok to make ambient, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I forgot about that. That was a good one. Those might be one of my favorite ones.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
it's amazing. Like,
I gotta look at that one again.
you have the original sample speed, and then you put it down 50% and then maybe 25%, and there's the different percentages that make up fifths and thirds and all that, but
Yeah,
it's the exact same concept, and I love that so much. Like, you can make whole tracks with that, really.
that's how I did the 7-inch I was showing you, like, earlier. The first one is that. Like, I recorded some, phrases onto a SK1 and then played, like, higher probably, like, play a C and a G at the same time, so then you get that kinda polyrhythm, like, between the notes, you know?
Yeah,
So, usually C and G or C and F,
yeah,
like, will sound good together, you know? And then, just record a couple different versions of that, like, layered on top of each other.
mhm,
It's so great, right?
yeah.
But this is limited to, like, I forgot how long it was. The maybe 1 point something seconds, the SK1. So, like,
Oh, wow.
yeah, it's not very long.
I Is that the one that, like, I don't know if you know, but, like, Sigur Rós uses a lot, and, like, Bon Iver?
They might have there's a better one called, or better, like, it can do longer, Yamaha VSS 30, I think? VSS 300?
Mm,
VSS
that
something.
might be what I'm thinking
It's
of,
VSS a number.
but it's the same concept, right?
Yeah. This one's really cool too because you can make tones too. Like, it has, you can synthesize your own tones out of, a sine tone, essentially. There's a
Oh,
sine
wow.
tone, and then you can add harmonics to it, and then do like envelopes to it and things
Oh,
like that.
wow.
That's really great. Next time, if we do, we'll do it with video, and then like I'll show you like what what it looks like
Absolutely,
and
like,
stuff. How it's
the whole reason I'm not doing it with video is because I didn't think anybody would be interested enough to actually do it, but I guess I should have known. Um, but yeah, I actually wanted to go back to the whole sync conversation and licensing. Um, and you seem to be in a very lucky, I don't want to call it lucky, but a lucky situation because you started really early with very film-friendly music, like, your music is very, you can
Mhm.
really picture in your head, like, scenes and everything.
Yeah.
Um, and so you pretty much got to bypass almost the, companies that sort of do mass licensing now, where you've actually built
Yeah,
relation
yeah.
big enough portfolio for people to actually come to you directly, where I'm, like, with a company called MusicBed,
Mm.
and I was wondering,
Yeah.
do you work with those type of companies as well, or do you mostly just do, um, your own licensing?
I would say mostly my own, but then there's another one. It's probably similar to Music Bed. I don't know Music Bed that well, but there's one called Marmoset.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Do
yeah.
you know Marmoset? I have a lot of like unreleased songs with them. So
Oh,
like
cool.
they're like not ones that are on the album, but there's so many songs like that aren't on albums. You know, like hundreds and hundreds. So like they have I don't know 50 or 100 of those like that they use for things like time to time. So that's really great. Like I love the idea of that. Like you don't have to do anything. Like stuff just works out. You don't have to talk on the phone with
Yeah,
people and negotiate things and all the like non-musical kind of side of
yeah,
things. So that's good. But I also do a lot of like custom stuff. So like yeah, like a lot, a whole lot, a lot. Always juggling a ton of that. Like I mean, my head's a scatterbrain, like hodgepodge of like different things happening at the same time. So that's kind of fun, like, because it makes you try things that you wouldn't normally do in an album, you know?
yeah.
That's pretty cool. And one thing that's kind of nice about that is like sometimes you try stuff that didn't work for whatever that custom project is. Like you make two or three songs and they use one, and you have the other two. Sometimes I can flesh those out and then like give it to Marmoset to like have in that catalog. Like
Wow,
maybe it'll fit somewhere else that I don't even know about in the future.
wow.
Yeah. I have to do more of it. Like I have so many unfinished like, oh, if I just mixed it, this would be done kind of things. But I always want to make new stuff, you know? It's kind of hard to
Yeah,
go back on like
absolutely, and I think that's something I should get into too, is, like, going back through my catalog that I just left unfinished, because it wouldn't fit on an
yeah.
album or something, and really give it to those licensing companies, because the only ones that are on there are my, like, album tracks and whatnot.
Yeah. It's pretty fun like the other ones, like ones that you didn't expect people to hear because I don't think like a casual listener, probably most people find you through like Spotify or like
Mhm.
Apple Music or something, you think?
Yeah, 98%.
Like, random people aren't gonna be, like, searching music bed for your songs, you know?
Yeah,
So, like,
true.
you can put something that doesn't fit, like, with the rest of what you do, like and it's kinda fun, like, to branch out and try new things there.
For sure, yeah, you can put things that are completely out of your style even, and, like,
Yeah.
well, now I kinda wanna go onto Marmoset and go through your your catalog.
Shit, and totally now you're like, "You made that?" Like, 'cause I was think I gotta listen to the ones that are on there, but I think I'll stand by them. Like, I think they were pretty good. One of them was, like, a really funny sound. I was like, "I don't think they're ever gonna want this one," but I was just sending a bunch of tracks at once and was like I think I recorded just like kind of sound into a keyboard and played like a really silly melody one time. Like, this is so ridiculous, but it is kind of funny. Ended up through Marmoset, like Apple used it on some like Apple's like Instagram campaigns or something one
Wow.
time. Like, I would have never in my life or in a million years, like imagine like anyone would ever want to use the song for something. So
Wow.
like,
Oh, man, your music definitely is perfect for that, though, like, I could see so many companies grabbing your most quirky track and just
uh,
going with it, I'm sure that happens quite often.
I like making I don't it's not cool, but I like making silly stuff sometimes too, you know?
It's so
And,
cool.
like, lately, I don't wanna yeah, yeah, I don't wanna always put the silly things on the album,
Yeah.
but, like, it is fun, like, making like, drones and stuff are, like, real soothing, and it's fun to make fun. It's interesting making drones,
Mhm.
right? And sometimes when you happen on a new sound, it is kind of fun isn't exactly the right word, but it is fun. Like it feels
Yeah.
nice. But if you just make a ridiculous sound, like something just really, really silly, it's fun.
Oh,
Like it's,
man.
so like sometimes I like to make that. Like I don't know what I'm gonna do with them usually, but
That's
yeah.
amazing, like, that's something I don't do at all, and I really, really should start because even just in practicing with sound design and stuff, it probably helps a lot. Like, do you find that you make music every day or most days?
Yeah, almost every day making something. So like, I have to make stuff for like the work kind of things, like I was saying
Yeah,
earlier, a lot of
yeah,
days. So I have this is like where I am right now is our studio. It's just an apartment that's like 5 minutes from our house. Like I rent another apartment, and then like so it has the feeling of being like in a house instead of being in like a
yeah,
studio, you know. So I come here every day, and then like as long as I come here, I start messing around with things like recording and trying out lots of techniques. I think a lot of times I'll just like mess around with something and then take it pretty far and then not do anything
yeah,
with it
yeah.
afterwards. So like I make a lot of songs, but a couple of years ago, actually, you know what? It was already 5 years ago. I did this project where um, I was getting in the bad habit of making a lot of stuff and then not releasing any of it or like not finishing it. Releasing it doesn't matter, but like getting it like 80% done and then just like leaving it somewhere. So I wanted to release a new song every week for a year. So in 2016, I made a thing where it was like 52 tracks. Um, so it was called Thinking About Thursdays. So every single Thursday, I'll release a new song, like
Wow.
hopefully based on like some stuff that was going on that week a little bit. So it was almost like a diary a little bit, like of like things that were
Mhm.
going on, but not exactly like it's not all like what happened that week, but it was such an such a good exercise, you know.
For
It
sure.
was like a really like boot camp for finishing things, for like closure, like making sure you're done because there was a really really strict deadline that I put on myself. It's not a real deadline, you know, but like a strict deadline to just to do it. Like I'd said I was gonna do it, and like I'm gonna do it. And ended up like made a lot of songs like I would have never made otherwise, I think, you know? Like and then some of the if I go on our Spotify, like some of most listened to songs are on there. Like
Yeah.
ones that I wasn't totally sure about releasing or not. Like
Oh, that's so
so
cool. And I think that's really important for people that are, making music now, no matter how successful or whatever. Like, it's probably the same thing like you were just saying. A lot of my biggest tracks, they were not the ones that were like the spotlit tracks that I thought were gonna be the focus, right?
yeah.
And it seems to never be that way. Whatever your favorite
Yeah,
track
for sure.
is not gonna be everybody
Yeah.
else's. But yeah, I was gonna ask about Thinking About Thursdays because I was like, how did you release a 52 track album? But,
It's too many. It's for the record, that is way too many songs. Like, uh, lately, like I'm going through like listening to like old records on Apple Music or Spotify or something, and I don't like when it's the deluxe version. Like lots of like records have like
yes.
deluxe version, and then it's like 3 disc worth of like demos and stuff. I just need like pare it down to the best
Yeah.
ones. So I think it's asking a lot of people to like think that that would be a good idea for an album. But at the time, releasing it one by one, like I just uploaded it a new one every week to
Oh,
Bandcamp.
okay. I was just about to ask. So you only put them on Bandcamp, and then at the end of it, you put it onto all the distributors?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Interesting. I wanna know how it would have gone if you release a track every week on Spotify and stuff, if the algorithm would have, really gone to your favor.
I wonder.
That's something I think about a lot,
Yeah.
is sort of metrics and analytics.
Do you got any good tips?
I don't. Honestly, I guess the only tip is if you can, release a track every week on everything. I really think that's the way to do it now.
No.
That could change in 6 months.
Yeah, yeah. Because they'll push the new things to you.
Yeah. Like you, I don't recommend that because, you know,
People will get
that
sick of it.
is gonna be
Yeah.
so tiring, and
Yeah.
yeah, people will be sick of it, and even once a month might be too much. But I know bands that have done that and done very, very well,
Oh yeah.
from that.
The thing I liked about this project, that thinking about Thursdays, was that a lot of times if we're working on an album, it's like well, let's see, I have an idea in mind that like okay, I want it to fit in this world, like everything's in this atmosphere.
Mhm.
Almost. to a fault sometimes, like, because you don't want every song to sound the same on an album, but I really like things feeling like they're part of the same film or something, you know? Or like if it's like a
Absolutely, yeah.
season of a TV show or something
Yeah.
like that. When I was doing that one, it was, 52 of them. Like, you don't wanna have 52 things that sound the same. So it was, like,
Yeah.
kind of exciting every week to go, like, a totally different direction or, like, to gradually go through a direction and then, like, hit all of the seasons and things like that too. So, like, in the
Yeah.
summer, there are kinda more, like, beat tracks, and then, autumn has, like, more guitars and things like that. Like,
Yeah. Wow, even sort of the names go through the seasons, like, you can almost tell so number 1 on Spotify from Thinking About Thursdays is, like, the first track that you put out for that? And, like, it went in chronological order?
probably. It's
Most
well, let
likely.
me see.
I mean, just looking at the
Oh, yeah,
names.
yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, when you go on Spotify, yeah, I did them in the same order.
Okay, yeah, cool. Because
Yeah,
yeah, How Frost Grows, you know,
yeah. So it's cold still, yeah.
and then we got Valentine's Day and Melting Snow. Yeah, that's so cool. It really tells the story of the year.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I think it would be really cool just to sit down and actually just go through this whole thing. It's only 2 hours, even though it's 52 songs, like,
Yeah.
it's not that long. So, I wanna ask about, music for museum gift shops too, because that's another 52 track album. But
It was the same that was the same idea, like,
did you do weekly
because
again?
weekly, yeah,
Oh,
yeah, like,
wow.
oh, I did that for the first one for a week, and, like, it turned out well. It's not easy, but, like, it seemed like it turned out well, you know, like, it was a good and then I had a year off from, like, not really releasing anything.
Yeah.
And then, at the time, Yoshimi and I were doing, like, all the music part of the songs is usually me, and then if there's like a concert, Yoshimi plays some stuff. She used to do more. Lately, she doesn't really play that much, but like uh, play together. Or if it's a song that has vocals, usually she's on it.
Oh, okay, cool.
So the year after the thinking about Thursdays, we did like the second half of the year, so like about 30 of them, 1 minute versions of our songs, like that you could play like outside or in different with like different uh instruments,
Yeah.
because it had like we made so many songs and you forget how to play them, and we don't really play concerts and stuff that much, so like uh just figuring out like acoustic ways to play tracks. Like trying to remember if there are any good ones. I like I have this kind of robot controlled drum, so I can send MIDI to these different solenoids that'll like move drumsticks and things. So around Christmas time, we did one of our songs called like I forgot the name of the song, something about presents. Like by hitting all of the presents under the
Oh,
Christmas
wow.
tree. Like so like there's like those are the drums, and then I was probably playing like Casio keyboard or something. I forgot exactly what I was playing, but like every every week, like releasing like a different 1 minute video that could fit on Instagram of those songs. So it became like kind of like a cool trick, like trying to like revisit the old songs.
Man,
So that kind of made me think like that's fun going back to old songs and like hearing them in a different way.
yeah.
I don't know. Do you know the artist Jonathan Richman?
I don't
He was
think
like
so. It doesn't come to mind.
in the beginning he was famous for a group called the Modern Lovers, which was like him. He was the leader, and then the guitarist from Talking Heads was in it. But they were
Oh,
like
cool.
people say proto punk, like before punk. Like they were like kind of punk, like a little bit. Like they had these like kind of heavier songs when there weren't that many heavy songs. Really, I think they liked the Velvet Underground a lot, and it was just like a harder version of Velvet Underground kind of stuff.
Mhm.
But then suddenly he switched to his like solo stuff, which became really quiet and soft and just like beautiful songwriting.
Mhm.
Definitely, if you have time, just check it out. The greatest artist that's ever lived, in my opinion.
Okay,
Like
great.
the best musician, like my favorite by a million miles. Like just really heartfelt, beautiful songs that are usually just him and a guitar and maybe drums or something. The later ones, like really simple, but he did a record that was like all of his or some of his old songs in Spanish that I really love.
Okay.
Like I don't even speak Spanish, but like he just like redid his songs like in Spanish, and it sounds so cool. So I thought like we already have a ton of songs. It's kind of wasteful not to revisit them sometimes, and that's what led to the music for museum gift shops.
Oh, wow. That's just great. I feel like your creativity in music is just like, it's peak. Maybe other people have these ideas, but they won't do them, or at least they won't share them. Like, instrument that you made, I guess you can call it an instrument, the, spinning bells on the record player,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
that is
Yeah, yeah.
so genius, and ever since I saw that, I want to recreate it so bad, because I
Oh,
wanna
yeah.
try it with only
It's
2.
easy. Yeah. I can record tell me what you want, and then, like, we can live, tell me which notes you want, and then
Yeah.
we can set it up.
Absolutely, because I wanna I've been doing more, sort of jam videos, kinda like what you do, but
Mhm.
less, involved, and it would be so cool just to have it in the background, like, I think you've probably done a couple videos like that where it's going in the background probably, and, you're just playing drones
Yeah.
around it, kind of, and, it's so
Yeah,
cool,
for
and,
sure.
like, even I mentioned it before, but using TikTok to make ambient, your Casio drones one where you put your Casio on the record player as well.
Uh, that was like that's one of the ones I'll put on the good ones
Yeah,
too.
it's
Yeah, that's a
so amazing, like,
I really like how that turned out. Yeah.
it really makes me, when I see those things, just want to think out of the box, and then I realize I can't. I don't have your mind, like, I don't know, how do you even come up with this stuff?
Uh, First, you're thinking of lots of great stuff too.
Well,
Like, but I think the thing that maybe you're saying about the way I'm doing it is that it's a bit hands-on.
yeah,
Maybe no, hands-on is not the exact, but like uh,
you're doing things out of the box.
yeah, yeah. Maybe if possible, I would like to do something in a way that's easy to understand. I think like really just like you see a picture of it and like, oh, okay, I got it. Like there it is, like
Yeah,
kind of thing. So there are two things I like a little bit. First is if something's like so simple, like when you go to the art museum and like you see like a really simple painting, and then people are like, oh, my kid could have drawn that. Like I love that
mhm,
idea. Like of thing, half of them are garbage, but sometimes you see something like that, like this is amazing, and it looks so simple. I could have done it. Like I love that, like where it doesn't feel too difficult. And then what's the other thing? Being like surprising, like you understand when you're happy when you figure something out. I like that a
yeah,
lot too. Like if there's a way to mix those two, that's really great. I think that's always my goal when I'm like making something. Like anybody could have made it, and then like when you figure out how it's done, like oh okay, I got it. Like
that's so cool. And it's so funny, even, like, the most recent sample pack you came out with, the bowed glockenspiel blocks. It's so
Mhm.
funny, ever since I've saw that come out, I've seen it everywhere. Everybody's bowing xylophones and glockenspiels, and I'm like, "How did I
Oh
not
yeah.
notice this before?" Like, yeah, there's a group called Voices 8 who just redid a slow meadow track, and they bowed an xylophone or a vibraphone or whatever it is, and then even, Bon Iver did a
Yeah,
live show where they were doing it, and I'm like, "How
yeah.
have I never noticed this before?" And now I have it.
Maybe it's in the zeitgeist. In the zeitgeist. I didn't know that. But maybe you watched my video and then like the algorithm's like, oh, you like both
Yeah,
xylophones? Here you go.
exactly. And it's amazing now I have it, I can literally make music with it, and it's without buying the xylophone or any of the glockenspiel blocks.
What's kind of funny is that the two ones that you brought up, like the bells on the record player and then the bold glockenspiels, are like things that we've been doing in concerts for 20 years.
Oh my.
So for me, it's not like those are like things that Yoshimi was in charge of, like all the time, like blowing the glockenspiels and stuff
Yeah.
whenever we'd play. So it doesn't feel like special. It feels like you've probably already seen it. Whenever I'm like doing it, it doesn't feel like fresh and new. So it's great to hear like you saying that it was like kind of exciting, or, like fresh whenever
Yeah,
you saw
it
it.
blew my mind, and now I'm like, "What else can we bow?" You know? Like
Have you ever bowed a cymbal?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's brutal, right?
Yeah, I remember
Like, it's such a scary sound.
I think I saw that in maybe a behind the scenes Foley video or something way back, and I grew up as a drummer, like, that's what I started with, so I was like, "Okay, let's try this," and then I remember the first time I even bowed a guitar, that was, like, a game changer because Sigur Rós does it, and a bunch of other post-rock bands do it, and it's just so cool the way everything works, and then you made a kalimba from your melodica, and that blew my mind as well.
Oh yeah,
Like,
no, that was a good one too. Yeah, that one worked
I
out pretty
think
well.
it's in the same vein as, like, maybe these modular synth artists, the way that they understand their instruments and stuff, but you're doing it with more, maybe traditional instruments. You're just thinking about them differently, and it's just so cool.
Yeah. I had the goal to never try modular synths.
Yeah, that's
Like,
same with me.
they look like a scary thing and like a black hole of money.
Yeah.
But this week, I'm got like gonna do something with teenage engineering, and they sent me the yellow one,
Oh, yeah.
the modular synthesizer. So they sent it here, and now I have it to try out. But I'm like scared, like, what if I love it too much? I haven't opened the box yet. It's like
Oh,
still
wow.
sitting here right now. We're gonna next time you see me, I might be a total uh, modular synthesizer nerd like everybody else I know.
For
Like,
sure.
just
I was always like that with, guitar pedals, and I
oh
guess
yeah,
at the end of last year, I finally got the mood pedal.
is it good?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, I hear about that one a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
even just its, like, micro loop function is huge because then you can change the clock speed, and then it, detunes or not detunes, but it pitches everything differently. Um,
Mhm.
and then all of a sudden now I have the microcosm, I have an OP1, I have an organelle, I have everything you need for, ambient music.
You have the starter pack. Like, they should make it called like the ambient starter pack.
Exactly, exactly. Um, I wanted to segue into ambient music though, and I wonder what is your relationship with ambient music? Because you have a lot of, jams on YouTube, like the Casio drums, and you have a video called, Tape Mood Number 1, but
Oh
you
yeah.
don't seem to actually release them, but they're, like, really high quality ambient music, or at least drone music.
Oh yeah.
But have you ever thought about actually releasing it or under a different alias maybe?
Sometimes. Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, yeah, maybe. Sometimes I like making a lot. Like I have tons of ones I've made,
Yeah.
but I feel like there's so many people doing it already, and I don't know if I'm adding something new.
Mhm.
Like that's the thing. Like I was saying about you, like on yours, you can hear all of those like real life sounds on your
Yeah.
tracks that I think separates you from other people doing like drones in a special way, right? Like I don't know if it's just the music, if I have something like that'll make it special enough every
Oh, that's
time.
really interesting to hear.
I don't know. I might be being harsh on it, but like if it's a video and you're kind of showing how it's made, that's kind of interesting. I think
Yeah.
like if you just listen to a drone and you don't know what's going on, you just think like, oh, it's the same note going. Like if you're a casual listener, right? Like, oh, you got the same note going on here for a while. Congratulations. But like if
Yeah,
you like you can show like I'm turning this knob on this pedal and it's doing this, like it's sort of interesting for the people who are want to know how it's made to see how it's done.
for sure.
Um, yeah, it's good. Really, if I had a ton of time, I would love to make a video like that where just annotate every single movement. Oh, I touched this knob and it did this. Like, I think that would be
Yeah,
really interesting. Like,
because there's that YouTube channel called, Knobs, actually, right? You know him?
oh yeah, knobs rules. Yeah,
And
he's
he's
great.
he's, fantastic, but yeah, and your videos remind me a lot of his too, although you go off into different sections.
Yeah, yeah,
He's found his niche and is going for that. But seriously,
yeah, yeah.
your those ambient jams or whatever you wanna call them on YouTube, they're, like, better than 99% of
Really? Oh,
the
oh,
ambient that I've
thanks.
heard.
Maybe I'll make some. I have like huge list of videos I want to make. But I was worried about time, but a bunch of them are like ambient things that I think I'll be really excited to share with you. Like a really hands-on kind of ambience, like
Oh, sick.
that I think will be pretty interesting. I hope. I hope.
It's really cool too seeing just that you put so much effort into the visual side of your music, like, with your YouTube and stuff, like, you'll even, you know, what seems like filming just a day out with your kids and stuff, you'll score it,
Ah,
and that is just so sick. Like, I love that so much. I think it's something that everybody's thought of doing,
yeah,
but just never does it, and then here you are actually doing it, and I feel like
yeah.
that's like the punchline of you is, like, you're doing what everybody has thought of, yeah, but doing it.
That's like the thing in the museum earlier.
Yeah,
Yeah, I could have done that. Yeah, yeah, that's the goal.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Um, I don't I like the like when Lullatone's slogan was like, I like making stuff. Like
Yeah,
we like making stuff. Like just like making stuff. But so like if there's a chance to make things, I think it's pretty cool. Like a bunch of the stuff in the studio are like things that I made. Like I like doing like hardware kind of, not hardware. Like I built this keyboard stand,
Oh, yeah.
and like did, like, this desk I'm using, and like lots of things to make these keyboards stand like a special way. Like I like making things. So it
Yeah.
doesn't matter if it's a video or a song or a tape loop or like just anything. Like it's fun making stuff.
Yeah, and you're smart because 'cause you're, like, sort of diversifying, like you said, you're doing the videos, you're doing the music, you're doing, furniture, and I think that's something I dip my hands into, but it's like, I don't know, maybe there's something in my head being like, "You probably should just be composing some music right now," and, I asked so much about how much music do you actually write and, like, do you play instruments every day because I don't, and it's something that,
Oh yeah.
it's constantly in my head, like, "You should be doing this," but sometimes I'll go 2 weeks without even touching anything.
Isn't it scary though that like it's something that you love, but then you have a guilt like behind it?
Yeah,
I know that feeling.
it's so strange, but the strangest part is that sometimes you just don't even want to do it even though you love doing it, at least in my case.
Have you set up so that it's easy to like turn it on and get started? Or is it like
This is my issue ever since I started getting into more outboard gear.
yeah.
I find that I'm making better music less, because when everything
Oh
was in
really?
the box, I could
Yeah.
just open FL Studio, you know, make a synth, make a drone track, and play around with that for hours. But now it's like I have to route all my stuff. I have to plug everything in. I have to figure out what pedals I want to use. And it's just
Yeah.
a whole thing. The OP one has helped with that because you can just kind of turn it on and mess around for 4 hours.
It's a total pain in the butt,
Yeah.
like, plugging stuff in. So, I'm trying to make it so things are, like, set up and ready to go. Like, that's one of the things I've been focusing on, like, this year, little by little, like, building out these things in here. I, like, rebuilt this desk the other day. I'm so excited about how it turned out because now everything I need to make a song is, like to make a quick song is, like, right
Yeah.
here. Like, I have a keyboard, push, like, I can just slide it out and grab it,
Oh,
like, at
amazing.
any second. And that seems like it made it easier. Like, there's less of a barrier to entry.
Mhm.
So, like, you just wanna, like, dig in, like, as soon as possible.
Yeah, my main issue is, like, organization, My wires are
Yeah,
everywhere. My pedals are just thrown around,
all over the place.
I
Yeah.
have to figure out a sort of shelving unit or something.
I'm into that, like trying to figure out that kind of problem. I think like a bit of problem solving,
Yeah.
which actually it fits a lot like with the stuff I do for like when I have to make the song for videos, like commercial or
Mhm.
something. They're short, like that. You're like you got 30 seconds or 15 seconds or whatever. You have to fit everything into here. Like we need it to start, have some kind of drama resolution, all within like 15
Yeah.
seconds, which is like a puzzle, right? And I think figuring out the best way to get your wires like going from place to place is a kind of a similar
Yeah,
puzzle that I really like just figuring out the best way to like, okay, here it is, like we're ready to go.
absolutely.
I went next time I'll show you, but I built this really good thing for our concerts now, like where I can fit how many? I think it's four pedals and a organelle and OP1 and SP44, the
Yeah.
sampler, all fit into this one case. But I built like different risers so that all the cables are hidden underneath it. So
Oh,
I never have to unplug or plug anything
wow.
in again. Like I just turn on up. I don't even have to turn on the power button. I just plug it in and then like it's ready to go. Because when you play the show, if they're like, nothing is worse than like going to the show and like trying to in a dark club trying to figure out what to plug into where,
Yeah.
like so I have it where I can't even unplug it. It's all hidden underneath pieces of wood. So if I wanted to unplug something, I couldn't. Like it's
Wow.
ready to go.
That's so smart.
That's the best invention. It's better than any song I made recently. Is this way I've come up with setting up our like gig our concert
Oh,
case.
wow. That's so smart to do.
But I think they all fit into it. As long as you think about it as like a puzzle or something, it's kind of
Yeah, for
interesting.
sure.
Do you know? I got this idea years ago, like listening to an interview with. Do you know Dimitri Martin? He's a comedian.
The name sounds familiar.
He's really funny. He has lots of like really short one-liner jokes. Um, he was probably. I think he's doing stuff again right now, but like he had a show on Comedy Central 2000, 2010s. I don't remember exactly when it was, but it was really great. But all of his jokes are like so concise and just like really well thought out, and they have to fit like quick enough to have a punchline.
Mhm.
And he was explaining like that kind of thing, like it's like a puzzle or a game or something. When I started thinking about everything else that way, like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Like as long as you think about it like that, it becomes a challenge and like not a
Yeah,
burden
absolutely.
so much.
Oh, that's so, like, inspiring just to hear and even think about. Like, I haven't even heard the interview, but I can imagine sort of what you're saying and
Yeah.
get to the punchline so that you can get through it or whatever, you know?
Yeah, yeah, right?
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. How long your songs are like I can't are they like especially long or just like average length?
They're, like, average length. I think lately I've been writing longer music. Like, I have a track coming out that's, like, piano and strings, and it's 11 minutes. It's the longest track
11.
I've yeah, and it's the
Yeah.
longest track I've written where it's actually, written instead of, like, generative ambient. Like, 'cause I've come out
Yeah,
with
yeah,
longer stuff like that 'cause it's easy, you just leave it playing. Um,
yeah.
but I don't know, I feel like I'm trying really hard to be able to write good music, you know? It's so hard to
Yeah.
do, especially long music. It's, like, impossible. I don't understand how people do it often, you know?
The new album I'm working on is like, um, basically like since it became like Corona and stuff, like don't really go out and play concerts. So like the first half of it was just sitting at home and like playing guitar, like when kids are watching stuff on TV at home. And like I really liked playing a song every day and then changing it just a little bit. Because normally I'm quick to record something like, oh, this is a good idea. And
Yeah,
then like record it and then change it in the computer. Like, oh, actually, I want to do another bridge. And then like record something else later on. But like staying with the same track, like just with your fingers and strings, like for months and months at a time, like it slowly evolves. Like just the way you hit like phrasing of certain notes,
yeah,
like something I'm really thinking about focusing on for this next album. And I
yeah,
haven't even recorded most of those. I still remember how to play them all, but because I play them all the time, but I haven't recorded it yet because I almost don't want to finish it. Like I don't want it this process to end because it's fun, like revisiting it all the time.
yeah,
But
that's
that's why I was saying about maybe recording everything to tape, not for the sound of the tape this time, but for the inability to fix it afterwards. So like
yeah, the finality.
yeah, I have a cassette 4 track too, so you can like, record different takes and then punch in and punch
Mhm.
out. But lately I've been doing like cassette on cassette recording. So like I'll record the cassette A and then I'll be like a guitar and I want to add something to it. I play that cassette back while recording onto another cassette. So after that, they're both mashed together forever. Like there's no undo, no undoing it afterwards. Like it's like playing a duet with yourself with your first cassette. So like you record your first cassette and play.
You're using 2 separate cassettes and 2 separate
Yeah,
machines.
yeah,
Oh, okay, okay, I get it. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Was it the way I made that songs in the very first beginning, like 30, oh, not 30 years, not 40, 20, wait, hold on, 20 something years ago,
Wow.
20, 25 years ago, like a long time ago, before I had a cassette 4 track, like, uh, this is how I like first learned about like recording, like, this might be a good trick, like, um, I just got to make sure it sounds good,
Yeah.
like, don't want to sound too tapish, like just the right
Yeah,
amount.
for sure. Oh, that's so interesting because the way I came up was on DAWs and stuff and on MIDI, and I could just change anything whenever I wanted. So actually transitioning to this, like, kinda the opposite of what you did is what I'm doing, and
Yeah.
it's so strange. Like, knowing
Yeah.
that if I record something to tape actually, the OP1 has been just a real asshole, because it's
Yeah. The undo,
when
like,
you record to the tape
you have
on
to
it,
undo.
it's so final, it's like, "Are you
Yeah,
serious?
yeah.
Why can't I just change the MIDI like I normally can?" You know?
Yeah, yeah. I've only done one where I was like, I really made a whole song, like record into the tape or everything turned out perfect. Mainly, I just use it as like a keyboard or a drum machine or
Yeah.
something. But people who are good at it are really crazy, huh? Like
Yeah.
it's a totally different way of thinking.
It's so cool too. Yeah.
But how old are you? Is
Yeah,
that
yeah. I always forget, you pass 21 and you're like, I could be any age." I'm 25.
25? Oh god, you're so young. Yeah. I turned 40 last month.
Oh,
So like
really?
yeah, yeah. So like we're like a totally different generation of like when we started making the music, right? Like
I mean, it's even so when you write a track, you think about it in standard, sort of structure, like, bridge, chorus, whatever, I would assume?
not, maybe lately a little bit, but for for a long time not
Oh,
really.
okay,
Like
okay, cool.
I didn't really care about that kind of I didn't grow up on like the pop music stuff that much, so I didn't really think about it. Just like, oh, what if we did this after that?
Yeah,
Um lately I find myself going to that. I don't know if it's really bridge or the verse chorus bridge verse chorus,
yeah,
however
I don't
that
even
works
yeah,
that much because we don't have a song, we don't have vocals for the most
yeah,
part. So yeah, yeah. Which I think is kind of what you need to make the chorus like really big. But I do like having changes in there right now a little bit more than before. Like our earliest albums were like really the very first one we did was just like all sine tones, like really it's not ambient, but like um abstract kind of
yeah,
sounds. And then little by little have different versions. Like some songs are kind of poppy, some songs are really sleepy
yeah,
again, like going all over the place.
yeah,
So the one I'm working on now, the goal is to make really pretty songs,
yeah,
like songs, like really pretty that sound like a song is the goal right now.
yeah, and that's
We'll find out if it
kinda
happens.
what I'm working on too, because when I started composing music or whatever, like, I was a drummer, and I didn't know how to play anything else, and then I got FL Studio, and I just started playing around, but that was around the time of the big EDM, craze in, like, 2010 or so. So
Oh
I
yeah.
even still, like, I still think of structure as intro, build, drop, second drop,
Oh, yeah,
outro.
it's a different drop. Yeah, drop. I've never thought about music with the phrase
Yeah,
drop, but
I
yeah,
still do, and I guess
that's pretty
it's
interesting.
the same as a
Yeah.
chorus, right? Technically.
Your songs have a drop? I'm trying to think about it now. I'm gonna go back and listen, like, "Oh, where's the drop?"
Yeah, and essentially, for me, the drop is just when the bass slowly fades in, or the lower end.
Oh,
But,
yeah.
yeah, now I'm trying to actually do things properly, and it's very tough to actually
Yeah,
think
yeah.
about it.
Do you mainly listen to music that sounds like stuff you make, or do you mainly listen to, like, EDM from 2010, or, like, what's your
See,
go-to?
that's the funny thing is, like, I came up with that, but I was never really into EDM. I made drum and bass for a while, but other than that, like, I didn't really listen too much, but my whole life is I've just been a metalhead, you know?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, like, I was that's all I listened to when I was 14, 15, and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
I started getting into more, like, acoustic-based music, and now it's like a mix between acoustic-based and, like, ambient metal in there
Yeah,
sometimes. I'm getting more into, like, sort of poppy stuff, like the alt pop.
yeah. But I can see it with the metal a little bit. I wouldn't have thought about it until you said it, but now I get it. Yeah.
I mean, I find it with a lot of ambient artists that they're all into it for some reason. There must be some weird mood thing there.
When I was 16, I was in, like, a noise kinda group, like, half ambient, a little bit noisy, but not, like, that kind of, like, harsh Japanese noise, like, the whole time, like,
Yeah.
tones, but then also weird things happening, like, I remember we used to use, walkie-talkies a lot,
Oh,
like, play
no.
something through a walkie-talkie and another walkie-talkie on top of a guitar pickup to, like, transmit it,
Wow.
and then we basically only opened for really intense hardcore bands
Yeah.
because, like, they really liked it, like, "Oh, man, this is some spooky stuff you got here. I think that's gonna be great opening." So we'd play these, like, really, really intense hardcore shows with, like, I don't know, pretty much everyone had, like, all like, straight edge
Yeah.
on the hands and, like, bloody, like, crazy after the mosh pit kinda things, but the first 20 minutes was, like, these kinda slow tones, like, leading into it. I really loved, like, that mix.
Yeah. And that's what I find too, like, when I was first actually, I guess at the start of Alaskan Tapes, a lot of what I would do is, like, listen to my favorite songs that were, like, heavier, progressive metal or whatever, and then I would just kind of throw it into FL Studio and pretend that I'm making the outro of that track because a lot of them
Oh, yeah.
incorporated ambient and stuff, and it seemed to work out pretty well. I don't think anybody's ever
Oh,
noticed,
yeah.
so it's a good thing.
That's great.
Um, Now I don't do that so much, but I still get very, inspired by sorta, like, that mood of songs, you know? I mean, actually, with that being said, not so
Yeah,
much anymore. My stuff is very, like, neutral now, I feel like, whereas before it was
yeah.
definitely darker than anything.
Do you play concerts now?
I played I played my first one literally 3 weeks before the pandemic hit.
Oh, yeah. Oh, so you're just getting ready to get
Yeah,
going.
and I got all excited about it, and then now I'm like, "I never wanna do another live show." You know?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's just too I don't know, it's too much, and what I was doing there was just playing tape loops and, uh, like, synth pretty much the whole time,
Yeah, yeah.
and some, like, ambient guitar. So it wasn't very involved.
Were you playing when you were, like, deep into metal? Like, were you playing drums at concerts and stuff too?
No,
Or
I was just playing by myself because I couldn't deal with bandmates, honestly. Like, I had
yeah,
been
yeah.
in maybe 2 bands. We never played a show, so we weren't really a band, but, like, 2 groups of people, and both of them, every time we played, I would be like, "Oh my god, can I just go home and put on my headphones and play? Like, I do not wanna be here."
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and so I think that's what really got me into just wanting to create music by myself, you know? It
Yeah.
just drum and bass or whatever, and I was just like, "Well, I can do it by myself, and everything only goes through me, so let's just do this for now."
Yeah, we might have had a similar kinda thing going.
Yeah.
But there's something fun, like, I I wasn't in a metal band, but, like, it looks like it would be so fun, like, to play a show, like, as a metal band or something,
Yeah.
right? Like, when I was in the other
Yeah.
bands, like, it was real fun playing, like, with friends and stuff, like, playing the show. Like, there's a things are falling apart and, like, people are moving and all
Yeah.
that. And then now, like, it looks like people are appreciating, like, when you're playing. I don't that's why I'm not so into, like, concerts and stuff, like, I don't not fun to go get appreciate things, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it would be fun to, like, go to a sweaty place and, like, people spill beer on your shoes and, like, all that kinda, like, annoying I might just be looking at it with rose-tinted glasses, but, like, that kinda stuff sounds more exciting a little bit, like, if it's a live
I mean, it's
situation.
funny even going to metal shows now, like or I guess 2 years ago, people so you'd go and there'd be the pit and stuff, like the mosh pit, and it would be so much fun even just watching that and stuff because, the energy is there, right? But
Yeah.
people trying to videotape the show on their phones would be, like, there, and you're
Oh,
like,
that
you
doesn't
don't wanna
fit
hit
right.
them,
Yeah.
and, like, I was never one to be in the mosh pit, but, like, they don't wanna hit
Yeah.
them, so the energy kinda goes away, and it's like this awkward, duality there of people who just wanna stand there and videotape the whole thing, and people who really want to experience the show. Um, with that being said, we've been watching a lot of live shows just on YouTube and stuff because it's the only thing
Uh-huh.
available, and man, that's really made me wanna, hire some musicians and get some post-rock stuff going or something, you know? Just make a lot of noise on on stage, blow everybody's ears out,
Yeah, probably if you play with a lot of people, I bet it's fun, huh?
I would
Again,
assume.
like, get it going.
Yeah. I think it'd
Yeah.
be so cool to get, like, um, a full quartet and stuff and play ambient stuff with, like, jazzy drums or whatever, with the jazzy bass, but also drones and a quartet, maybe even a horn section too. I think that'd be awesome. It's like the dream.
I could see it sounding really great
Yeah.
too. Do you play all the drums on your records?
Yeah. Yeah, I play all of everything except for the strings.
Is it, the set that's behind you? Like the electric set?
Yeah, so I got that, and then I just got a Superior drummer, and it does the job, honestly.
There's
Yeah,
one track that, like, that the cymbal sound on it's so great. Like, I was curious, like, how did you record these cymbals? They sound so nice, like, uh, it feels like it has, like, those metal balls that you can put on a cymbal and it just rings out forever.
absolutely, yeah, so I would assume that's called, The Times Are Tired. So that one was before I got this kit, and I actually went to a studio, and the engineer's wife was a professional drummer, so she had these really nice big ride cymbals, so I had, I think it was 2 24-inch rides and then a hi-hat snare, and that's all I had in the kick. Um, and then the day before, I had actually bought off Amazon, like, a what the cymbal sits on? The sort of, felt?
Oh, the felt thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's one that spins endlessly, right? So you can just
Oh,
spin it,
yeah.
and then, yeah, like you're saying, I had the beads on it, so it
Yeah.
would just constantly be creating that sorta cymbal wash sound.
It spins like if you like spin it with your hand, it spins forever, or
Yeah.
like you push a button and it
No,
spins like a record player.
so this I was looking for one that spins like a record player, that's electronic.
Yeah.
I've come to learn just from forum posts and stuff that, they're too noisy, and they're also just not reliable
Oh,
because of the weight of the cymbal. So you'd have to get, like, this
yeah.
big motor.
You know what? After we're done talking, I'm gonna like try to use this. I only have a real bad cymbal, but I'm gonna try to set it up on a tripod on the turntable and see like I bet you
Yeah.
can do it. Like if you just put on your record. Hold on, wait.
I can't remember who sort of gave me that idea, but it was an ambient artist on Instagram, and I saw that they were making drones out of it because you can pitch them really easily, right? Because they're just pure. I don't want to. They're not sine waves, but you can get the overtones that are,
Yeah, yeah.
they're really bassy. And I remember even when we were doing the recording of "The Times Are Tired," um, the engineer got me to come in. He was like, "Listen to this bass." It was like producing a pure sine at, I think it was like 48 hertz or something, or maybe even lower. And I was like,
Uh-huh.
How is it even doing this? Like, what is going on?" And it's just a constant, like, pure,
Just from
yeah,
spinning.
yeah, like the
Yeah,
undertone or
that's
overtone. I don't,
crazy.
whatever it is. Um, it was super cool.
I know sometimes when I put the mic too close to a cymbal, like, oh god, this just killed every other sound in here. Like, if you, I don't know, like the best place to put it. If you put it kind of under it or something, I guess it's that kind of like undertone, just
Yeah.
wash everything else out. Like,
It's awesome. So I actually took that and made, I think I made a track on that album just from that tone, or at least
whoa,
part of it, um, because it was already there, right? Run it through the organelle at the with the fifths sort of
oh
thing,
yeah,
and you have
you
perfect
got your
chords,
track
right?
done.
Yeah, exactly. But the happy accidents like that are so cool.
That's so fun.
Yeah, I wish I could record, like, acoustic drums more often because now I'm stuck with these electronic drums, and they sound great, but you can't play them with, brushes, and you can't play
Oh
them
yeah,
with mallets and all that, so one day.
I have a set in my kids' room. I bought it for me like a long time ago, and then I gave it just put it in my son's room like when he was like kind of big, so thinking he might play with it sometimes. He doesn't really that much, but whenever no one else is home, I always sneak in his room and like play like drums really loud through that kind of like electronic set.
Nice.
It's so fun,
Yeah.
right? And then like because it's electronics that you could put effects on it a little bit. So I don't really have like
Yeah.
pedals and stuff hooked up, but it's going through a guitar amp right now. So I just like uh, crank the overdrive on it and like maybe put the reverb on there and like whatever you play just sounds like the first track on Yeezus. Have you ever heard like the Kanye song
Yeah.
like it's like coming through like it feels like it's just like trying to break the speaker. Like it's so great to play drums like that.
And it's so funny too, because like, I always dreaded, tracking with them because, you have to go through Superior Drummer, so it's all recorded in MIDI and stuff, and just the other day, it clicked that there's a stereo out, 2 stereo outs on this, so I can just literally track it live.
What's Superior Drummer? Like a drum sample or something?
Yeah, it's a VST where it has really professional sounding, yeah, drum sounds. So it essentially replaces the sounds on the module of the Roland kit, and, it just gives you.
I don't know about yours. Mine's really old one, so it's kind of garbage, the sounds that are on there. But it's
Exactly,
fun. Like, it's still fun to
exactly.
play, but
But when you're actually wanting to record it, you should probably like it, and you're wanting the live drum sound.
yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the metal bands are actually using that just to replace the drums entirely on their records, I've noticed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
That makes yeah, metal kick drums are like that already, huh?
Yeah,
Like
they're all
yeah.
triggered, right?
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's fun stuff, man, just making music, and, that's another reason I wanted to do this podcast is because sometimes it's like, I don't even feel like I'm not inspired to do anything, and now hearing from different people and everything, it's just sparking everything back, you know?
This is really fun, for people like me, whoever's on the other side of the mic, I would assume. Like I know for me, because I don't talk about this stuff. I'm doing it all the time, but then I don't talk about it that often, right?
Yeah,
So then talking about it kind of reminds me like I should do that again, or I should do more things like that a little
for
bit. And
sure.
like, oh, that was fun, you know, it's like a good chance. Because I can't like go home and tell my wife and kids about like, oh man, guess how I mic'd up this guess how I mic'd up this drum today, you know, like they're
Exactly.
not that excited about it for the most part.
E
Although it does like if you do something really
Yeah,
crazy, that's one reason it's fun to like try kind of crazy sounds is like it does make it a story so that when I do go home, like there is something to talk about. But like I don't think most people like in my life want to hear too many like deep discussions about like frequencies or hertz or anything, you know. So it's pretty fun to geek out about this kind of stuff.
absolutely, yeah, that's the exact thought, like, I listened to this podcast about, skateboarding called The Nine Club, and so they do, like, deep dives into these pro skateboarders' lives with them, interview style, and then I realized none of the people in my circle, like, people who I consider, like, genius ambient producers and genius musicians like yourself, nobody's talking to them, and I'm like, "Why?" I had only ever been asked to be on one podcast before, and that was like 4 years ago, and so now I'm like, "Well, I guess I'm doing it." Like, nobody else will.
Oh yeah,
Um,
that's great though.
but, alright, before we go, I have a couple more questions just for people who are trying to come up in music and maybe are listening to this. You seem to have a very, passionate fan base, bigger than most. From the outside at least, like people commenting on your Instagram, commenting on your whatever, and did you have a system to get it that way, or did that just sort of happen naturally over 14 years?
It just happened naturally, and really should I should do a better job of like connecting and all that. Like I know you have to make a mailing list and that kind of stuff, but I always think like, "Oh, I'm gonna do it next year," like that kind of stuff. I haven't done a great job of any of that, and like we've been around so long that I've seen like the way different networks like come and go. So like when we first
Mhm.
started, there was like I don't know, maybe it was before Lullatone, something called like mp3.com. And then after that, where bands would put stuff. And then there's MySpace and then like Flickr, like all these like earlier ones before like Instagram and things. Like we had pretty good amount of people would like write on stuff. And I felt like we had a community. And then like after Instagram came around, like, oh, I don't want to do another one. This is so lame. Like I didn't do
Yeah.
it for a couple of years. Now I kind of wish I had in the beginning, like
Yeah.
getting it started, like trying it out. So I'm probably the worst person to ask about this because I'm hesitant to join any of them. I think I tweet like once a week or month or whenever there goes something. The worst kind of like Twitter person where it's like, oh, I did this. Look at this. Like you're not involved in the conversation.
That's
Um,
me.
I don't I don't like looking at it that much though. Like I put a thing on my phone like so I won't I took it off for this week though. But I put it where I can only look at Instagram and Twitter for 15 minutes a day, like
Oh,
combined.
wow.
And it wasn't enough to write a comment though. Like if I posted something, you got to edit it and write it. It was like halfway through, like, oh, your time's up for the day. You can't do it. You can't finish it. So
That's pretty smart, though. Yeah, I like that.
but I had it on there for about a month and like that was enough. Now I don't habitually open it anymore. Like
Mhm.
before it was like have 5 minutes like to kill like waiting in line for something, like just open it up and usually doesn't put you in a great mood for the most part. Instagram's
Yeah.
nice if you see what your friends are doing, but I was listening without the sound on because it's like waiting on the train or something, you know, like so half the things I see are like cool instruments and then I can't hear what they sound like.
Yeah.
Uh, so I'd open up Twitter and it was people complaining about stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think the best thing is put out the stuff that you think you like and then try to make it authentic and then people will write about it.
Yeah,
But I'm
absolutely.
sure I could do a much better version of it, I think. Did you ever use like SoundCloud?
Yeah, I was big into SoundCloud.
Oh yeah. I never got into it that much. So like I think that would have been a good one. I don't know if people use it that much now, but I
Mm,
felt like that had like communities and stuff.
I feel like it's sorta died, and I think the reason that I was into SoundCloud is because I missed the whole MySpace thing. By the time I even started, it was YouTube and SoundCloud. MySpace had already died. I think I'd only ever used MySpace like 4 or 5 times, and that was to listen
Oh,
to
yeah.
local bands back when I was in grade 8. But yeah, SoundCloud, there was an era, it was like maybe 2013 to 2015. It was the best. It was just
Oh, yeah?
booming on there, like, that's where you found all your music, and then Spotify sort of took over, and then there was no community left because they don't, you can't comment on Spotify stuff and all that. I feel like
Oh,
the only
yeah.
one left is YouTube for actual community.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, YouTube seems like it's pretty it could be really interesting.
Yeah,
I gotta get better at it, but, like, it seems like if you really focus on it, it's just so much harder making videos than, making songs.
yeah,
And, like, every time I, like, spend a lot of time making a video, I think, "Oh, I could have made so many songs that probably more people would have liked, like, it would have been better. I might have enjoyed more too," but I don't know, it is fun making videos. It just takes a while.
yeah, and I've noticed that too, because I've been making those little jammy videos, um, and it's so fun just setting up the camera, finding the right angle, setting up 2 camera angles at the same time. It's like, just adds a whole other realm of creativity. But, speaking of all that, like, I feel like since you started mid 2000s or whatever, you're able to really see a lot of transitions, like from music getting really popular on the internet to different uh, websites like SoundCloud and MySpace, and then all the way to Spotify. What was it like actually seeing, those changes as an artist?
Hmm. Yeah. I haven't thought about it that deeply, really, but, like, I don't know, like, I know, like, as an artist, you're not supposed to like Spotify and stuff that much. Like, people say, like, "Oh, you shouldn't," but for me, it's been really great, like, living
Hmm.
here. Like, people in other countries can, like, hear the songs we make, like, really easily, which would have been especially with shipping now, like, it's so expensive to ship stuff to the
Yeah,
US, so it was totally impossible before. So, like, that we were getting like the biggest reach of ever right now, I think. Like the amount of people that listen to songs. Um, I don't know how that translates in the real world, like because we don't really play
yeah,
concerts and that much lately. So I don't know if like it would come to shows or not. But like it does feel nice, like compared to before, that you feel like you have a whole world of possible people who might be interested
yeah,
in what you're doing. And because making that kind of niche thing, like of course everyone's not going to be interested, but there's like a better possibility of finding those weirdos that might
yeah,
like it,
absolutely.
like so I think like that's a really nice thing about right now. Having said that, I think like we're pretty lucky. Like I don't know why like people found our songs on there. Like I guess they're searching for it, but we haven't been on too many like big playlists or
Yeah,
anything. But I think like if you're just starting out, I don't know if it's the same. Like if it's harder to get noticed because there's so many people like out there right now. Yeah, I might be looking at it like happily. Like
that's the exact same thing with me. I pretty much as soon as it was easy to get your music on Spotify, my music was on Spotify back in like 2015, maybe.
whoa, yeah, it's
Yeah.
really
So,
early.
and it's only because it was like, oh wow, you can actually make a couple dollars, you know. So,
Yeah.
and I'm sure you were pretty early too. Um, so yeah, thank you everybody for listening to We All Speak in Poems, episode 5 with Sean from Lullatone. And if there's anything else you want to say, feel free.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is my first time ever doing a podcast, so it was really fun. I think this is you couldn't ask for a better one to start on, and I'm really excited to hear all the other ones you're recording, and excited to hear all the new songs you come out with too.
Thanks. Yeah, and for anybody listening, go to Lillatone's socials and Spotify and stream all of his music because it's definitely worth it, and you'll get inspired and go down his discography. And yeah, we'll talk to all you soon. Thanks again for listening.